All right, we are recording. So I wanted to make a video talking about ADHD versus autism. More specifically, how my ADHD and autism kind of butts heads a lot and how it really just affects me overall. I also want this video to have some semblance of structure, which is a thing that I yearn for, even though I hate the idea of it. Like, never say the P word in front of me, P being plan, because I will just fall into a mental health crisis when I hear that word. It's like his name that shall not be named from Harry Potter, plurable. I hate the word plan. Anyway, first topic for discussion, we're talking about routines. Now, here's the thing with routines. I find myself falling into them without even realizing it. So for example, I go to the exact same coffee shop every single morning, pretty much, right? And every time I go to the coffee shop, I always sit in one of two locations. Either right in front at the sort of counter area, or in the cozy armchairs that is in like the corner. And it's either one of those. I don't know why I do it, but it just feels like fine when I sit in those seats. Like, I feel nice, I feel fine, and everything's okay. But let's say I go to the coffee shop during a time where someone else is sitting there, you know? Obviously, I'm not gonna ask them, you know, hey, you're in my seat, or hey, can I sit here? Like no, you know? Like I feel like that's rude to do. There's so many other seats as well that it's like, why not just sit in any of the multitude of seats? But it just feels off. Like, it's hard to describe, where it's like, I know I'm not gonna die by like sitting in one of these other seats, but I feel like, how do I want to put it? I feel like anxious and like antsy when I'm not sitting in one of those two seats. Because sometimes I'll try to push through it if I need to. Like, if I need to work on something, I'll sit in like another seat. But it's like very hard for me to concentrate on what I need to do when I'm not in one of those two seats. And I'm like, I don't understand it. And plus there's like this like middle section too, which is pretty much just like no man's land for me, where it's like, I will never sit in those seats. I will leave the coffee shop before I sit in one of those seats. I don't know why I do it. I don't know why my brain works that way, but it just does. Something else I realize I do, and I've gotten into the routine / habit of doing without realizing it, is that whenever I park somewhere that I go to on a regular basis, let's say it be work or in the city, or even at the coffee shop, I always park in the exact same location. Why is Tails so damn shiny? Brother, holy crap. Okay, anyway, like I park in the exact same spot every single time. I don't know why. And I don't know why, but it's like, it's the same case of, I just do it. It just feels nice. It feels right. But let's say I'm late to work, right? And I can't park in that location. I'm gonna park the closest place that I need to be, because I'm, you know, running late for work. But when I do it, I feel off again. Cause like, again, like I know I'm not gonna die. I know nothing wrong's gonna happen, but it just feels wrong. And I don't know why. Obviously I do know why, you know, because it's autism, you know, but it's just weird though. Because I don't understand why the brain is just like, no, we have to do this one specific thing all the time, and if we don't do it all the time, then we don't feel okay. Like, I don't get the logic. What chemicals in the brain are making me think that, you know? Like, I don't get it. And then that directly contradicts the ADHD part of me that's just like, let's not do or have any routines or habits of the sort, and let's just do everything spontaneously. Like, why follow routines? That's boring. We've done that, been there, done that. Let's do something different. We always go to the coffee shop in the morning at 6 a.m. on the dot every morning. let's do something different. Let's go into the city for once. Let's go explore a random building. Let's go to that building that has all the cool graffiti on it. But it's like, even though I want to do that, the brain also wants to do the routine. So then I'm just like thrown into the middle of it, just feeling like anxious, and like, it's like trying to ask a calculator to divide by 0. Like, it's trying its hardest to do it, but it just doesn't know how. I need my book. Hold on. Okay, got the book. So another thing too, where the autism and ADHD constantly butt heads, is with my interest, right? I feel like my autism wants to stick to one interest and to master it, but the ADHD wants to do everything. Like, I feel like the autism part, even though it has like the special interest, you know, like multiple ones, it still just wants to stick to that one interest just because of keeping things like orderly, organized. And I guess that also plays into a part with, like, you know, the thoughts wise, where it's like, well, if we only have one interest, then you can't have a lot of thoughts, you know, too many thoughts, and, you know, you get anxious. With like the ADHD, it's like, oh, well, why have one interest when we could have all of them? Why be the master of one when we could be a jack of all trades, which is usually better? Like, it's tiring because it's like constantly battling each other. Like, if a neurotypical person is just one person, and let's say autism is another person, and so someone with autism has 2 people in them, then people with AuDHD, by that logic, would have to have 3 people in one body. That's freaking insane. 3 brains, 1 skull. Like, that sounds so mentally exhausting, and it's because it is. It's like, on the one hand, why be the avatar when you can just be like the air nomad? Like, at least, like, if you're just one, then, you know, you get like a nice cool robe and you get like a cute fluffy animal. Why be good at all the elements when you can just be good at one of them? That sounds so nice and organized and neat. But then on the other side, it's like, well, why just pick one, do everything? And then I have to deal with the repercussions as these 2 gosh darn disorders. No, I don't like that word, disorders. I'm gonna be honest. I struggle with it, but I still don't like calling it stuff like that. We need to come up with a word for them. So we call it flavors. Flavors, styles, genres. I don't know. Either way, it gets exhausting. It gets pretty exhausting. What's even more exhausting though is when they frickin' team up against me, which I feel like, honestly, I feel like it's like that almost every day. But there are some specific times, specifically in like social settings, where they really just team up. Like, for example, I remember I was out with a couple of friends. This was like back in high school, before I knew I had autism, but I knew about the ADHD, but definitely not enough. But we were out to dinner. We went to a Chinese restaurant, right? Already, it was super packed. It was super rowdy. And I was already feeling very anxious because of all the noise, as well as just, you know, being in public and whatnot, social anxiety with all the people, what have you. And I remember looking at the menu and I'm thinking, okay, practice what you want. Practice what you want. Practice what you want to say to a T, because we can't mess this up. Is there any actual repercussions if we do mess it up? No, but we can't mess it up either way. So I practice what I look at the menu and I practice my line, right? As if I'm in a freaking Broadway play. Like, hi, can I get the iced sweet tea with some orange chicken, please? That's it. That's all I had to say, right? So waitress comes up and she takes everyone's order. Then it's my turn. And again, I practiced this. I got this. I stumble. I don't know how. I practiced it. Like, how can I mess this up? I practice. But like, I stumble over all my words and it goes fine. Obviously, I get the words out. She didn't ask me something, and it was a question, and I couldn't hear because whenever she talked, it just sounded like she was speaking in Animal Crossing villager language, where it was just like, oh yeah, you know, hi, can I get a sweet iced tea and orange chicken? Yeah, sure. And then it's just, I'm like, what? Can you say that again? And then it's just like, she was like, yeah, sure. And then all of a sudden just, I'm like, what? Like, how does this work? I heard what you said. I heard the first part, but why is the second part not? not working? Why is it not registering? I didn't want to like ask a third time because yeah. And so I'm just like, okay, I know she asked a question. So logically speaking, there's a certain chance, a binomial chance, it's a yes or no question. Maybe I can just get away with it not knowing if I just say yes. So she was like, yeah, sure. And I'm just like, yes. And then she looks at me confused. And then everyone else looks at me confused, like, what? And then I just came clean. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you for a third time. I didn't want to ask. And so I just said yes. And then she just started laughing, and so did everyone at the table. And the question that she asked was brown or white rice. That's it. That's all she asked. She just asked me if I wanted brown or white rice. That is what I couldn't hear. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't understand what the question was. Like, I heard it. I heard her loud and clear 2 different times, but for whatever reason, it just didn't register. Now, like after that happened, obviously I felt like super embarrassed and whatnot, but the food was good at least. It was just such an embarrassing moment because I'm like, I don't understand what happened. Like, I don't know where did this like mental fog come from? And obviously the friends and whatnot, of the time, we laughed about it, we referenced it and whatnot. Like, I don't feel bad about it now, because I laughed at it, but I'm just like, wow, I don't understand why that happens, because that stuff still happens. Like, sometimes I don't hear right. It's like, it's not that I can't hear, I just hear wrong. Apparently it has something to do with the way like my brain takes information, or people with like ADHD take information, where it's like an input output error. Like, if I tell myself something, I can hear myself clearly. I can focus on my own voice and I can hear what I'm saying, or I focus on my own thoughts. But the moment someone else asks a question of me, it's as if I have to go back into like my brain through the filing cabinets, search for that information to find it, but then there's a delay. So then that's why it takes so long for me to like register what you asked. Because there's been times where it's like someone will ask a question and I was like, wait, what? Say that again? And then immediately after saying that, their words register in my head and then I autocorrect it. So it'd be like, let's say, for example, brown or white rice. I'm like, oh, wait, what? Can you say that again? Oh, wait, white rice, Like, I don't, it's like there's a delay and it's weird. I read about it and I'm probably quoting it wrong, and it probably depends on the person, but it's like there's so much tiny details that you have to take into account when you're socializing and talking. Like looking at a person, like focusing on them, focusing on what they are saying, the way they're saying, the tone of voice, all these little minute details that some people just do, that it's just like, they don't think about it, it's just natural, like, yeah, I don't think about all those things. They just come naturally to me. But then with like people with like ADHD, and maybe autism, I don't know, I'm still learning about it. People with ADHD or autism will pick up on those details or won't pick up on those details as easily, but then they're also taking in a lot more stimulation from everything around them, which is also in like the back of their mind. So it's like too much stimulation, and that's where like the focus aspect is. I'm having a brain fart, fuck. But it's like there's so much stimulation that it's hard to concentrate on the person's words, so that's why it becomes jumbled, is what I'm trying to say. And it's tiring and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because you can or I can be completely locked in, right? Like I'm not even looking into your eyes or like gazing. I am staring into your eyes, using every ounce of mental will and power that I can to focus on your words, and I will still think you are speaking sim language, to the point where like I need you to literally grab me by my cheeks and say it slowly, as if none of my ears work and I have to read your lips. Like that's how bad it gets sometimes. And it's frustrating because it's like, I'm trying my hardest, but I just don't know what's going on. But I don't know. It's tough to figure out, and it's tough to navigate, and it's definitely stressful and tiring. But at the same time, it's something that it just happens, you know? While there are different medications out there that can help you, you know, sort of lessen the effects of whether it be ADHD or autism, you know, Adderall, Ritalin, Vyvanse, all those sort of things, they can't get rid of the symptoms of them completely. It's not something that can just go away, and it's not something that can be cured, at least not right now. You know, maybe in the future they can find a cure for it, but it's not, you know, that doesn't exist right now. And that's okay, because even though it can be super mentally tiring having autism and ADHD, at the same time, it's also a part of who I am. You know, I have special interests. I act the way that I do because of my autism and my ADHD, and people love me for me and my personality, and I wouldn't be me without autism or ADHD. You know, ADHD and autism don't have to be just something that's, you know, a downer. It doesn't have to be something that's only a negative. It can be a positive. It's about finding that middle ground and what works for you. Some days are going to be bad. Some days are going to be good. Some days I can get a lot done. Some weeks I can go without not getting a lot done. Again, that's okay. Even though it feels like I'm not getting ahead in life, definitely when compared to some of my friends who either don't have ADHD or autism or neither, it's not about comparing myself to them and where they are in their life. The only person I should be comparing myself to is myself the day before. And I'll be honest, and even then that's a bit of a stretch, because like I said, some days are going to be, I'm on top of the world. Some days I'm not going to be on top of the world. And that's okay, because it's all about finding what works for me. And I hope that if anyone who's watching this video is also going through a similar circumstance, whether it be just finding out that they have ADHD or autism or both, or if you've known your whole life, you know, I hope you found some sort of validation from this video and know that you're not alone. And yeah, also, if you have known you have ADHD or autism for a while, leave some comments. What helps you? What helps you navigate it? I would definitely love to learn, because I'm just on this journey. So I want to know how can I get better? How can I get better at pacing myself? How can I get better at just being better navigating, you know, around ADHD and autism? And as well as there might be some people who also find the advice helpful and whatnot. Plus, I'm just interested in knowing what works for y'all. Peace.